Good evening. Welcome to Be the Message podcast. I am Angel Simmons, Miss Revolutionary Purpose World for Revolutionary Pageants, and my platform is Be the Message, Suicide Prevention and Mental Wellness. The purpose of this podcast is to shine light and give voice to causes and people that are making necessary and significant change today in their fields. Now, this month ends today. Today is August 31st, and we are closing out a special month related to my platform and all the work that I have been doing all month long. We have been talking about National Wellness Month. You may have seen another podcast pop up here and there with my face and some of my friends because all my friends are famous. So for Be the Message, of course, I had to bring on one of the most favorites of my friends. Okay, I have with me tonight media guru, as I love to call her, creative mental health professional. She is the host of the show podcast that you have seen myself and another one of our creative geniuses on. She is the founder of Sweet Spot Media and the original Brysen all over the socials. I am bringing on Brysen Williams to talk about the closing of Mental Wellness Day. I want to read this quote before I bring her on, though. Brysen says, I believe that every person's experiences are unique and approaches to each individual. I'm sorry, let me start over. Brysen believes that every person's experiences are unique and approaches each individual with empathy, patience, respect, and understanding through a strengths-based, supportive approach. Brysen encourages individuals to recognize their abilities, build resilience, improve their overall well being, and develop confidence in navigating life's challenges. Now, I know Brysen in real life, and this is definitely the Brysen that I know. So I want you to meet one of my most famous friends. Welcome to the stage, Brysen Williams, the original Brysen Sweet Spot Media.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I don't know whose bio you was reading, all that hyping you was doing. I don't know who it was, but they
Yoins, as they say in the South, Yoins. Wow,
yawn.
I am.
Yawn.
Yes. Brysen Williams. I love this because
Queen Angel.
you be on the other side
I
asking the
am.
question, and
Yeah,
not today.
I'm blushing. I'm like blushing super hard right now.
Not
Like I ain't
today.
never had a conversation with you before, but you got me.
So tonight I have the pleasure of picking your brain and asking some hard questions about what we're talking about. We talk about wellness. We talk about wellness, and we have been talking about wellness for how many years now? I was trying to go back. It's been
I
10.
know, like about
It's
10. Yeah, I would
it's
say
been
10.
that's minimum.
10
Minimum.
yeah, an easy 10.
10 easy. But I met Brysen by way of recommendation from our dope friend Leanne Stockley down in Las Vegas, also a mental health professional. Came from Chicago land, the Chicago land area. I got to say that because he ain't from Chicago. He's from the suburbs. Um, but he recommended Brysen to come in and do some media for V3, which is Versus Vibes and Visions, which was a live lit show that I used to put on quarterly, sponsored by The Message Inc., now The Message Media LLC. And Brysen came in and interviewed our guest and videotaped the whole shebang and never left my side. Was at every V3 I had after the first one. Would recommend creatives to come in and spit on the mic or sing, some songs for us. That's kind of how we got started.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then somewhere around the pandemic,
yeah.
we decided we were going to go live and talk some talk. And we had a few conversations about suicide prevention. We had a few conversations about my books when my books dropped. And then her and I and Yansar have a show called The Show, where
So
we talk about everything,
anything and everything.
anything and everything that pertains to life and wellness and relationships. And this is how I met Brysen. Somewhere along those years, Bryson ends up in mental health. When exactly
Who would
did
have thought?
that happen? Who would have thunk it? When did that happen?
I I've always had a thing for it. I've always been like an empath, I've always been, wanting to pick people's brain or like explore mental energy and stuff like that. And I've been surrounded by it like in my work environment for years, just working in social services across the board. And in the pandemic, you're trying to figure out life and you're like, what do I do? Because we just sitting in the house twiddling our thumbs. And I said, well, why don't you improve yourself, advance yourself, add some courses to your repertoire. And I did that. And fast forward, here I am.
Awesome. That is awesome. Tell us what it is that you do exactly in the field. What is your professional title? What do you do on a day to day?
I'm a mental health professional for a community based organization here in Chicago. And what we do, we just provide, literally life support, human life support, not the machine, but just making sure that, you know, helping for folks to stay balanced, helping them to stay level, helping them to maintain, that positive flow and energy of emotional wellness and mental health. And we couple that with like, case management, depending on their needs, their environment, things like that. So that's my day to day. I work with kids, I work with adults. So it's a blessing. It's a
It
blessing
is.
to
It
help.
is. And Bryson's work has crept over into my platform because last year, if you were following me around Thanksgiving, I was able to provide a family with a complete Thanksgiving dinner, and then I did Christmas breakfast around holidays. And these families were families that, people that Bryson knew and was able to connect me to a caseworker, and they sent me some names, and we were able to get some people fed for the
Yeah,
holidays. And then, even before that, 988 Day, which is quickly approaching. I put the word out that I wanted to do a 5K, do a little walk in Evergreen Park area. Bryson shows up with some homies from the job.
yeah. Yeah,
On
it's a
the,
good time. It's been a year already.
it's been a year already. She showed
Wow.
up with some people from the job, and we had a little meet and greet and some snacks and
Good
talked
snacks. Look,
about
Angel she gonna make sure you're right. She gonna make sure your pressure stays balanced. She gonna make sure your sugar stays balanced, but she's not gonna make sure that you got, too much. You're not gonna have too much on your stomach because you gotta do the walk.
yeah, because we did 4 laps around that bad boy.
Listen,
And I don't know about you, but at the end, my step count was over 11,000.
I didn't
Um,
think it was gonna end. It seemed like that last lap was like
we
forever,
was
but it was
trying to
worth
cut
it.
that last. We were trying to cut it short. Like, well, we gonna go over. We're gonna
Right,
go over 5K if we do the whole thing. So if we just cut
right,
this way,
right.
and then it wasn't enough steps, so we had to do it anyway. Oh my god!
We had to
So
circle back.
we just gonna do 4 laps. We're gonna do 4 laps. Oh my gosh!
That was
But
good
yeah,
fun.
she brought out some people from the job who were in the same field, doing the same work, um, and we were able to walk and talk and raise some awareness about 98 days. So she has
Shout out,
crossed over.
shout out to your security too. That's always present.
Security, aka my mama,
Woman.
because she was heavy on guarding the snacks. Pop the trunk whenever we pulled up. She was
Yep.
watching the path to make sure it was
Yep.
us that was showing up. Yeah, and then we gave some stuff. We were able to give away some stuff at the end because
Hmm.
we had a lot of things left, and I was just anybody walk past. You need some water? You need a banana? Cookies? What you need? Grapes? I ain't give away too many grapes, so them grapes went home.
Oh, them gates were phew, took a few of them home.
Oh my God. But you know, if you all are if you're watching and you're listening and you're in the Chicago area close to Evergreen Park, 988 day is Tuesday, September 8th, and I will be doing another 4 laps around the park if anybody wants to come out and join me and have some snacks and whatnot. So looking forward to that. But let's talk about wellness. Because this is what we do.
That's what
This
we
is what
do.
we do. And we talk about it all the time. But for the audience's sake, how do you manage and maintain your mental health and wellness, particularly in the field? You're working in this field. We try our best not to take our work home. When we logged in, you had stories. I had updates about my brother. So we got stuff. It's always stuff in the background,
Yeah.
and we still have to serve and support and encourage and tend to other people. How do you manage and maintain your own mental health and wellness while you are doing that for other people?
Yeah, it's you have to be intentional with it. You just have to be intentional and set those boundaries for yourself. Um, and you have to be purposeful with not bringing stuff home. And I get everybody's situation is different, so there are going to be some things that you carry over more, after those work hours, than you would something else. But you have to just figure out how to table it, and that's the biggest thing for me. Like I table it. I try to decompress in the car. I turn on my music. If it's a happy hour somewhere and somebody wants to go, who am I to say no? Um, and then just make sure like I'm cool before I get home. I got a variety of TV shows. I love TV. I love arts. I love the theater. So it's always something on TV that I'm going to check out, watch. And during the week, I always try to watch something to where I don't have to think, something that's kind of going to make me laugh or has an easy storyline, something like that. So I can just kind of roll with it and just woosah.
Awesome. Awesome. So that kind of leaned into my next question, which was about your practices and what do you rely on. So you mentioned happy hour. You mentioned entertainment. You mentioned music in the car, decompressing, setting boundaries. And we kind of talked about this on the last podcast I did this month, talking about the same subject. But how do you set boundaries when you are the favorite auntie and the big sister and the oldest child and the favorite daughter? How do you set
Like,
boundaries with those that are
huh.
closest to you? Hmm?
Yeah, it's I mean, work boundaries and family boundaries, life boundaries, those are different. But at the same time, you have to have those for your loved ones as well. Because to your point, when they're used to you being and doing everything, you kind of got to be like, hey, I need a second. Or even if you're with them, oftentimes when I'm with my family and we're doing whatever, it could be a good time, might not even be nothing bad at all. Good time, but I'll steal away for about 15, 20 minutes.
Still in the way.
Still away for about 15, 20 minutes, just long enough for them to realize I'm gone, and then I'll pop back up. They'll be like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yep." Let's keep the party going. But you have to just be intentional. You might not have the opportunity to just decompress 100% by yourself or for multiple hours at a time. But you have to give yourselves those little gems, those little rewards, those little nuggets like throughout the day. Whether it's on your break. you listen to your favorite podcast, or you're checking out social media, or you're following up with another activity or event, but just something to help manage your emotional wellness while you're dealing with everybody else's stuff.
I like that. I like that. I'm working back with the kids now, and I love to have music at the door when they're coming in,
Yeah,
because at this point they've been at school for 8 hours, some more, depending on how early of a start they get. But they're coming to us 8 hours later, and we're trying to get them to focus on programming. So when you walk in the door, it's a party. Um, Usually, it's been some chill lo-fi. This is week 2, so they got the lo-fi chill, stress
yeah,
free, soul, whatever. It looked like it. I'm pretty sure it's some AI music, but it was like some kind of soul vibes. But it's real cool, real mellow. They got all of that last week. Today they walked into Bulu Master,
oh,
um, Chicago house music.
nice.
And many of them did not know what was what was going on. They might be country next week. It might be some heavy metal the week after, but they're gonna get something different. Well, they're just trying to spark their creativity when they come in the door and just say, "Hey, this is a different, different place now, different setting, reset,
Yeah,
reset." It's like, what, Miss A? What are you listening to? It's like, hey, you never heard Bulu Master?
yeah, yeah. You got to get them with that versatility.
Man said Jackie Body. You don't know about Jackie
Yeah,
Body? I'll
yeah,
show
yeah,
you
yeah.
later. Show you later. Show you later.
It's more than just ride wave. And there's no shade to him. But every kid I talk to, who you listen to? Ride wave. I'd be like, okay. Like literally every kid I talk to. So ride wave, you're doing your thing, fella. But we just want our kids to experience more.
Exactly, because they gonna get some '90s hip hop. They gonna
Yeah,
get some R&B. They gonna come in and Boys and Men gonna be on. But I
yeah,
get the pleasure of welcoming them now when they come in and getting that vibe. And it's like, what we doing today? We doing house music all week. That's what's happening this week. House music. Get this. Um, I love that. I love the decompressing music in the car. Everybody knows the car is my sanctuary. So when I get in, I'm setting it down. What we listening to now? Most of the time it's K Love. Sometimes it might be somebody's soundtrack. You might come in on Hamilton. You don't know what's going on in this vehicle. You don't
yeah.
know. But
It
it's a
depends
party.
on what it is. Like whatever for me, it's like whatever is setting my spirit. Like it depends. Like the other day, Erica Badu and Alchemist, they have a new album out. I put that in motion the other day, and it was a jam. It was a banger. You know, any other time it might be Boney James or somebody,
See?
or
Right, right. So Marcus Miller.
yeah, Market. I love. Oh man,
Yeah.
love
Uh-huh,
me.
uh-huh.
Like the way he plucks those strings.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But our
So you
kids
never
are
know.
not exposed to all these different ways. We have to teach them how to decompress. We had to learn this, and some of us didn't learn it till we were well grown, and too late. too,
And sometimes I'll even put on, if they tell me a song, I might put it on. Now, I'm not going to listen to the whole album, but if they share a song or two, I'll try to play it, just to see.
if
Just
it's
to,
clean, right?
yeah,
if
yeah.
it's clean,
We got to keep up. We got to keep up with them
we
too.
do it. We do. We have to stay relevant. We have to know what's relevant to them as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Speaking of relevant, what issues do you think are at the top of the list that are relevant to Black women right now as it pertains to health and wellness and mental health? What's at the top of the list this year?
Man, at the top of the list is probably living as a Black woman, and living oftentimes being unheard,
Mm-hmm.
not understood, or lacking the skills to advocate for ourselves, and our needs. And this is not no, I want to listen to this. No, like advocating for ourselves, for our health, for our wellness, for our physical wellness. It's no secret that oftentimes we go to the doctor. because we're feeling a certain kind of way. We ask for this test or whatever the case may be, and our health is often minimized.
Oh yeah.
Do that, and you can't do that for within mental health either. So like, listen to your body, get there, seek the help, advocate for yourself, and sometimes you have to be stern with it. Um, but in your heart of hearts, don't take no for an answer. And I think like that's the biggest thing. Us having to advocate for ourselves the way that we do, and almost kind of like just not being taken seriously.
Mhm. We've had a number of stories in the news this year with Black women in the emergency room in labor,
Hmm.
literally, literally in labor, and nobody taking them seriously, being sent home, um, being turned away, told they weren't ready yet, weren't dilated enough, and get in the car and go into labor, get to the house and go into labor, get
Hmm.
down the street and go into labor, but they weren't taken seriously at the ER as if they didn't know what was happening
It's like literally
to their bodies.
outside, like,
Um,
yeah.
that's always something that's concerning to me, and those are the most obvious cases, because you have immediate results. Something happened as soon as you left. Something happened.
Right.
There's so many of us who were not diagnosed with something we needed to know for years.
For you.
For me it was fibroids. For other people it might have been fibromyalgia or endometriosis or sickle cell or something else. But just making the assumption that we're looking for medication, we're looking for pain pills, we're nymphos. We're looking.
Or it's normal. Whatever your situation, oh, it's normal.
You're not in menopause. Shh.
Man, please, we're not even gonna talk about that.
Excuse me. You
Mm-mm.
know, because Perry is a thing. Perry is a whole person.
Yeah.
Uh,
Very,
I say
very. I
Perry
want to
menopause
carry out
is what
today.
it's
Uh-huh.
call him by name. Perry is a problem for a lot of women that are still in their 30s, still early 40s, but doctors who don't have as much knowledge or study in that area will send you home and say menopause doesn't start until you're in your 50s.
Right.
A
Yeah.
lot. You a lot.
A whole.
And the truth ain't it.
It ain't nowhere to be found.
But we got women that are out there. I mean, we got Facebook groups. Listen, it's a number of groups that I had been following or that I've been invited to, and that's all they talk about is
There's a couple of
symptoms
groups that
and
that we're in together that and the sisters go at it. They share. It's a
symptoms and
free space,
struggles.
space. Yeah.
Yes, and just simple things like itchy ears that were driving me crazy, and I thought it was something else. And somebody say, "Oh yeah, Perry, what? Itchy legs? What's going on? Numb shoulders? Was it frozen arms syndrome? What are we talking about?"
That was me last year. I had itchy ears as well. Then I just knew that was my allergies because I've always had bad allergies. So I just
Just
chalked it up to
knew
being
it
my
was.
allergies because I'm used to that.
Just knew it was me.
Please. Perry was like, "Nah, babe, it's me."
Like, why is that even a symptom? And
Why
then
is it?
talking to women that are older and telling them, all the new things, and they're like, "Say what now? That
Right,
that was part of
right.
something they dealt with, but nobody ever told them that was a symptom." But
Mhm.
we don't get the grace. We don't get the grace to be taken seriously a lot of times when things are going wrong, especially in regards to our mental health.
Right.
It's already a stigma around getting the support that you really need, but having to go through red tape and hoops and barrels just to get support, nobody would go.
Yeah.
Nobody would go. I'd be very reluctant if I didn't know better. What did you learn growing up about mental health and therapy?
Growing up,
Mm-hmm.
nothing, nothing. It just wasn't talked about. Like, like if you saw somebody who was unwell mentally, um, you might hear an adult say, "Oh, they're a little touched," or "They're special," or something like that. They were never talking bad about them, but that was just the terminology that they used back in. They used the R word because it was acceptable back then. But like as far as mental health and what it is and how to support it and things like that, I didn't learn anything.
Mm. And how does that feel being on the other side and actually being the person that offers support now?
I'm grateful, that God allowed me to be aware, of my surroundings and even accept or be able to acknowledge the time when I was in a hole and realized that I needed to see a therapist and needed some help for my mental health. So I'm glad that I was able to embrace that, accept that, be vulnerable with myself, and then choose to go be vulnerable with somebody else to literally save my life. Because when you do that, you're literally saving your life, different capacities, but you're saving your life.
Mm, okay. We were talking earlier about um, our practices, coping, grounding, decompressing. We talked about music quite a bit and entertainment. How do the arts and music factor into mental health and wellness? How would you define that?
It speaks to your soul. I think that's the music, the arts, creativity. It's a universal language, and it can speak to your soul, and it can hit everybody in whatever space they need to be touched. Emotionally or mentally or spiritually. I made the reference before that, Michael Jackson, right? Gary, Indiana, um, was national, international, worldwide, global, all the things. Everybody knew his music, even if you were 5, 6, 7, 10,000 miles away. When they go to a Michael Jackson concert, they don't speak English, but they know those songs because it touches your soul, and you learn, you experience it. So, music, the arts, entertainment, creativity, is universal. It's universal. It's universal language. It's like we are one when it comes to that.
Mhm. I love that. You have been working, says you've been working with the community health program. Um, I don't know how diverse is your population that you service. So we talk about global reach and international reach. What are the different ethnicities that you're servicing?
Um, we have black, we have white, we have Hispanic. Um, we are onboarding right now a young man from Turkey. Lives in America from Turkey though. That's his first Turkish language is his first language. Um, I dealt with another young man. They were Polish,
Mm-hmm.
Russian. So the
This
fact
is
that
Chicago.
this is Chicago, the melting pot,
This is
the melting pot. So the
Chicago.
fact that all ethnicities and races and cultures are embracing
Mm-hmm.
this, mental health is trending, and if anything needs to trend, is mental health. I'm with it.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health support is
Mm-hmm.
trending.
Wow,
Finally,
finally. What differences have you seen in the needs of minorities? Or have you seen any? You just named all these different ethnicities. Are there any differences, or are they all considered minorities? We're all We know we're in this melting pot. Everybody comes from somewhere else. Um, we know black and brown are typically underserved in our communities, but you have a nice balance there. Um, do you see different needs for those that are black and Hispanic?
Black and brown, yeah. I mean, it always seems to stand out, and it's definitely not to magnify black or brown over any other culture or nationality, but it always seems to stand out more because, like you said, disenfranchised, marginalized communities, boxed in, only used to a particular thing, a particular experience, particular flow. So they're not really able to look outside the box because they've never been outside the box.
Hmm.
They don't know how to experience outside the box, and it's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. I mean, you talk about people in the city as a whole, like West Side. West Side swears that the South Side is in another country.
Oh my God. And I've
You
been
know,
over there.
like no, like hey, it's the same distance for me to come to you than it is to come to me.
And we
But
talk about the West Side just like they talk about the South Side.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like people are boxed in.
Hmm.
They have no flexibility to stretch their legs. And I think when you're boxed in for so long, and you see, the domino effect, I think that takes a toll. So I will say for the brown and black communities, I think we probably need more activities, more creativity um, within the community and outside of the community, so people can stretch their legs, so people can see other things. I have a young lady. Now, granted, the Obama Center has only been here for a few months, and she lives 5 minutes from there. I said, hey, y'all, been just about down the street, just drive past it. Because you drive past it alone is amazing. Never mind step foot into it. You drive past, no, no, we haven't been past it. Oh, okay. Okay, well, cool. You know what? We're going to go meet over here. We're going to have our session over here. Don't you got to pay? Well, don't you worry about that. Because we're going to go to the free part. But don't you worry about that.
Hmm.
But just trying to, especially the kids, for me, I want them to experience something different. I want to do my part in investing in them, mental health, emotional health, but also academic and cultural enhancement as well. So I take my kids to, places like the Obama Center or a minority-owned bookstore or something of that nature where they can experience different things. They was like, "Well, I've been down this street, but I didn't know this was right here because my mama go to the beauty supply store right there." I'm like, oh, "Okay, cool. Well, this is right here too now." So maybe when your mama goes to the beauty supply store, you could ask her, "Can you take me in to get a book or something like that?"
Hmm. I I was having some flashbacks talking about taking the kids out. Um, that was always a fun thing for me as a club manager um, for summer camp because we had kids and I was on the west side for the majority of that time, but we had kids who lived downtown. They lived right off Chicago Avenue, where you could literally stand on the bus stop and see downtown if you tilt your head the right way. I had never been downtown.
Yeah,
Had never been downtown, so it was always a personal goal for me every summer. First of all, we had 5 weeks of trips, so it was a trip every day. Um, as much as my staff was struggling, trip every day, 5 weeks. But I made sure we went to the Willis Tower. I made sure we went to John Hancock Building, Sears Tower, if you understand. I made sure, we went out to Oak Brook, we went to Putt Shack. I made sure we got to Schaumburg, we went to Medieval Times. We didn't, we would do not just Sky Zone, but we would do I can't even think of the name of the place where you suspend it in the air in the parachute. But making sure that we got we got to do that. And we would go out to main event at Hoffman Estates instead of just going to some random arcade in the city. But we'd have to get on the bus and go somewhere. We'd have to pass through the suburbs.
yeah,
Have to see some grass. It's something different. But it was a mission for me to introduce them to new places, new experiences, um, where they have not been. But we would also have people come in and bring animals, and they could touch snakes and lizards and little alligators. They bring that. Come on, bring. I ain't going, but you can bring them in. We're gonna go to Brookfield Zoo, where the most of the animals are. We're gonna go to a baseball game
Mm-hmm.
because who does that? Everybody been to a basketball game. We went to a hockey game. It's like this is exciting for those who've never been exposed to that. And we had a lot of parents who would go to those games. Be like, I had never been to a hockey game before. This was amazing. Blackhawks show, the show before the game at the Blackhawks, it's almost up there with when the Bulls come
Okay.
out.
It's
Yeah,
on my list.
yeah, but that was amazing for them to see. But who would expose them to that if not us?
Right.
If not us? And to even see the need for that. Um, in your work in the field, have you seen a difference in how you're treated as a minority in trying to get them supportive services, trying to get referrals, and trying to get housing and food and all of that? Have you seen a difference in how you're treated?
My experiences fortunately have been positive. You know, people are always willing to help when it comes down to that. Food pantries, farmers markets, other community providers. They're always willing to help, and it's kind of like, what do you need? What do you need? You can have this, that. Oh, hold on, I only got two arms. Only got two arms. So it's been very, very fortunate. And we're partnered. My job specifically, we're partnered with some great providers who will pass the buck and will make sure exactly what their client or their family or the community or the school needs, or even with adults. They're most of them are already established with their medical caseworker, so we're able to partner with them. But I have had pretty good experiences with the support, with gathering the support needed for clients.
I'm glad to hear that. Years ago when I was in social work, I was in the women's shelter, and a lot of a lot of people that came in didn't have anything. They didn't have documents. They didn't have income, and immediately, I need to get you a bus pass so you can go get your ID or your social security card so you can get your ID. We're sending money so you can order your birth certificate. We're signing you up for job training programs so that you can be actively in here so that you can go on a housing list. And it was always, 29 steps to get in and out of here, but it was all necessary. Go to Social Security, apply for this, apply for that.
Right.
And many of our residents would leave out of there with all of their documents. Um,
Mm.
Kids got immunizations or whatever medical services they needed. They got registered for school. They got put on somebody's housing list, and then it was a wait. You got all the services, and now you got to wait.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage the wait
Right.
after you have done everything, all your part? You did all your part. You gave all the services. They got clothes, they got food, they got work, they got whatever, got education, they went back to school. And now you got to wait for this last piece.
That takes forever.
How do you manage the wait as a provider? How do you manage your mental health while you're waiting?
You just try to you try to stay encouraged.
Because you got
And
to encourage them.
you have to encourage them, right? So you got to hype yourself up before you hype them up, because you can't be like, man, I don't know. Look, I've been. You can't do that. You can't do that. So you got to hype yourself up. Might have to peel some more layers back, do some additional research, just go around the rosemary bush and all the things. But what is it? Rosemary, mulberry bush, whoever bush. You
What
got
are
to
the
go
bushes? You in the bushes.
in the
Is
bush.
the bottom line.
Goodness. And just, tap in, keep tapping in. You gotta keep tapping in, tapping in. Sometimes, these government assistance or whatever, even community assistance sometimes. You just gotta stay on their neck and you gotta show them that you're serious about supporting yours.
Have you seen a drop in options for services since this new administration and all of the cuts to nonprofit programs? I said that so nicely. That
You
was
did. I'm so proud of you. I'm very proud of you because I know you. I know you. I'm very proud of you. Look at you. Come on. I think yeah, I think it's just been a drop all the way across the board because a lot of stuff has closed down. I was sad to see the WIC office down the street from me closed down. And it's like, why? Like it's WIC. Like people need it, mothers need it, the babies need it. Like you can't. So, and I've seen a few more places such as that shut down. And it's like, what do we do? That's like out of our hands. But we just keep going more into the inner communities or whatever and like partnering up and like creating that community family, like, hey, what you need, how can I help, can you help me with this, and just try to keep building.
yeah, yeah. That's hard. That's hard to see. Um, we were talking about teens and some of the shootings that happened over the weekend before we went live, and I just kept thinking, these are teens that should be in the after school program. These are teens that don't have an after school program to go to no more because they were all shut down that were in Chicago public schools. Are these kids that should have been in Boys and Girls Club? I wonder where all these kids are coming from that are outside, because I certainly went outside after dark as a teenager. I had somewhere to go. So when
But
you
I
don't
think
have nowhere to
every
go,
is like a revolving door. This is what they've seen and experienced in their home with their parents. These parents were the same kids.
yeah,
um, these parents were not able to take steps to get away from public housing or government assistance or anything like that. So it's generational, and I'm definitely not providing an excuse, but I see it a lot.
yeah,
It's generational. Even where I'm from, like growing up, there's still people I know that's there now, and like folks my age, a little bit older, they got grandkids, but their mother was there and their grandmother was there when we were little, and it's like you still here,
you talked about the box.
the box, right?
The box. I grew up in Inglewood, so there are people that still live on the same block. Now, granted, some of them own their own property, but
Yeah.
that block, they're still on that block, and
And
it's
there are some people who can stay. Let me put this disclaimer out here because I know this is going out to the world.
yeah,
There are people who can stay in their hood, in their community, and they can thrive and be
yeah.
successful. I
They
don't care.
buy up the block
I've seen it. Buy up the block. Buy
and improve the block, but when the block looks like it did 20, 30 years ago, and there's no improvement, I got questions.
hmm
I got some questions. Okay, because we've seen all these different programs. Um, you can buy a lot for $1, certain times of the year, or pay the taxes and, get this, and as long as you own the property. So it's a lot of vacant lots and empty spaces and houses. The building I lived in is not even there. It's completely gone. And
Okay.
it was eight unit, might have been 10. It definitely was 8-unit building, gone, completely gone. No evidence of my existence on that corner, and nothing else popped up.
No, I
You
was
did
just gonna ask you.
you build nothing else?
Nothing else.
Interesting. Okay. The empty lots are still empty over there. Okay. The businesses that closed down 20 years ago are still boarded up. Nothing else came up.
What
That
was your
is, hmm,
What was your
per
block?
se,
What was your block? What street?
68th and Justine.
Okay.
So, right, one block east of Ashland, 68th and Justine.
Okay.
Nothing's right there, you know. And it was a nice block, but over the years, deterioration, and I don't see a lot of improvement over there. But that's the same for a lot of areas in Inglewood. But there's also not funding being funneled to a lot of these areas. So you see improvement over here in
Mm.
South Shore. You see improvement over here in Chatham. You see improvements, you know, um, over here in Bronzeville. But you don't necessarily see them in Inglewood or um, Auburn Gresham, or some of those other places, or the West Side, where all those kids were I was dealing with. So and that's unfortunate. And I always thought it was sad, even going to work when I was on the West Side, driving down Madison. Some of those businesses are still closed, and the building looks exactly as it did after the riots from Dr. King.
Yeah.
They've been closed since then. The sign still on the building.
Hmm.
It looks the same way, and it took me riding down Madison with my mother, to get that history lesson. Like nothing has changed since the riots from Dr. King. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
How many decades are we talking about? And the name's still on the building.
Six. Six, right?
Board still on the windows. Name still on the, nothing has changed on most of those streets because that is what was torn up.
Hmm.
And now we've had the riots from 2020 and 21 with George Floyd in the city.
Hmm.
Um, I tried to go to Chatham Beauty Supply a couple of weeks ago and was like, oh, ain't no Chatham Beauty Supply. That's right. Y'all tore this up. When
Yeah.
y'all tore this up with the George Floyd verdict. Oh my God. And it just made me think about Madison.
Hmm.
Is this going to look like this 50 years from now?
Hmm.
They just built something else across the street, but nothing's right here. It's interesting. So, what um, what wellness tips would you leave with the people who live in this city
Living
and
with it.
see all of what we're talking about, and they're nodding their heads while we're talking or shaking their heads because they know what we're talking about? What wellness tips would you leave with the people to help them navigate our social climates and the need for better services and support for our people?
Get outside the box and do the work. You got to do the work. No one can advocate for us more than we can. Nobody has walked in our shoes more than we have. No one has been on this journey, you know, more than we have. So we have to do the work. We can't just have our hand out. You have to put in the effort. You got to do the work. It's going to be blood, sweat, and tears. If they were able to do it years ago with less, we should be able to do it right now. Partner up, love on each other. Stop getting so offended and so defensive. Just because somebody blinked at you, and you thought that they eye was twitching when it was blinking at you. Like, cut it out, cut it out. Let's get our community back.
I love that.
Let's be treated in the hospitals how we should. Let's be at the top of the list for employment because we earned it, because we deserved it, because we worked for it.
Okay, that's a call to action for sure. Um, Getting out of the box. I love that. Um, well, in the spirit of being called out to do more, um, we talked about supporting families. Last Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'm committing to two families for Thanksgiving. I'm committing to two families for Christmas. So
I'm
I'm
sure
doubling. I'm
for you.
doubling down this year. Doubling down this year. Two and two. Um, that was a joy for me being able to shop for somebody else. I had my Thanksgiving dinner like 2 weeks before. I had my food in October. I was buying stuff. Turkey was in the freezer. Everything, whatever. Everything's up. And it's like, let me support somebody else. So we're gonna double down this year. We're gonna support two of Bryson's families for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Um, as part of my commitment. So there's my partnering up, and yeah, that's what I got.
One, one day at a time.
That's what I got. That's what I got. Well, I am glad I got a chance to pick the brain of my friend who's always picking our brains. I got a chance to interview the interviewer and host the host with the most. And this was fun. Anything else you want to leave the people? You gave us a charge.
Yeah.
You gave
Uh,
us a charge. Anything else that you got going on? Because I know you also support artists and promote artists. Is there anything else that's going on in the next month or so that you want to?
um, just check me out in my stories on Instagram and Facebook. That is where I usually promote, support, talk about. You're not gonna catch a whole lot on my page, on my what you call it, on my wall, but check me out, catch me in my stories, and support these Chicago artists because there's a lot of energy out here. It's a lot of good energy, man. These people are grooving. So do that, if you're able, and just if, I guess if you don't remember anything else, just go with grace, walk in grace, man. Everybody needs it. We're in a situation where it's trying times. We're in a state of peril, but go in grace, operate in grace, and it usually irons out exactly how it's supposed to be.
I love that. Go in grace. All right, Bryson. Thank you for your time and your presence. I'm gonna holler at you and rap in a minute. Uh,
Okay.
Follow the original Bryson on all the platforms. You can also catch Sweet Spot Media, but look for the original Bryson and check her stories because ain't nothing on them pages.
Yeah, put me in my
Check her
story, but
story.
I appreciate the opportunity to be on the message. I love what you're doing. I'm always here to support no matter what.
Thank you. And you have done that consistently for over a decade. So I'm glad to have you on here. And I will see you in a minute. Hey, 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 hey. Awesome. Thank you all for tuning in. Bryson Williams, Media Guru, the original Bryson. Follow her on all the socials and check her stories to see what artists she is promoting, what venues she's promoting, what events she's promoting, and you'll be in the know. Thank you for tuning in as we close out National Wellness Month. I am excited to see what the new season is going to bring. Y'all know fall is my favorite season. And if you didn't hear me, you can hold me accountable. I committed to doubling down this year. I'm going to support two families for Thanksgiving with dinner, or sponsor two families for Thanksgiving for dinner, and two families for Christmas breakfast. So that was my commitment to Bryson's charge to get out of the box and do something and be active and serve on a greater level. And that's what I'm going to do. This is Be the Message. And I will see you next month.